Alright, Horror Hounds, we just got Scream 6's new release, and we're going to do a ranking on all six films in this franchise, starting with the worst leading up to the best. Alright, kicking us off is number 6, Scream 3. So, Scream 3 is probably the weakest writing of the entire movie series. Kevin Williamson did not do this one, and you could kind of tell out of the original trilogy. The kills are less bloody and gory, and that's not their fault. That was more of what was going on with the times. And the script had tons of rewrites, and you could tell that they didn't really know exactly what direction they were going. But all in all, it did turn out to be a fairly decent movie. It's just my least favorite of the entire bunch. Alright, so for me, number 5 is Scream. 2022's Scream. So I was kind of hesitant on this one when it came out because it wasn't going to have Wes in it. And it's still a decent movie, but I didn't care for the killer reveals too much. And overall, I just felt like the main character that we're trying to follow now instead of Sydney Sam in this movie, she did a very bad job. I just didn't find her believable. It was kind of like she didn't really know what she was doing at this time. And obviously, Scream 6 is higher up on this one, so she did get a lot better as it went along. Some of the kills were kind of neat. Killing in broad daylight and the stab through Wes's neck right up close and personal, that looked really good. And we got to see the killer get butchered by the main girl instead of it being like a normal fight back or a shot to the head. She really went all out in this one, and it was a nice, fun change of pace. Alright, so number 4 for me is Scream 2. So Scream 2 follows the original one. It's almost like you could watch 1 and 2 back to back, and they're pretty flawless. Most of the kills in this one are a little bit bigger. I don't know if they're really bloodier than the first one like they say they're going to be, but they're still, we get a nice, fun, neat kill. The one detective, when he's on the front of the hood of the car and the pole goes flying through and smashes him in the eyeball. I thought that was a great kill. And in this one, Sydney's starting to become a little more badass, and she's not quite so hesitant. The killer reveals, one is okay. Mickey, he's a nothing throwaway. But he does turn into the angry asshole at the end, and he does a good job with that. And Mrs. Loomis, I think she's a great killer reveal. She has a great motive, and she is very believable. One of the better killer reveals in the entire series. Number 3 for me is the new kid on the block, Scream 6. So if you watched my Scream 6 review, I went into spoilers, and there is a lot of plot holes in this movie, and a lot of things that are just kind of dumb. But this movie is overall very enjoyable. And if I was somebody who's not a big stickler on the Scream series, and I came in and watched this one, I could see why this one would be way better than Scream 2022, or maybe Scream 3, Scream 4, Scream 2. Some people are saying this is their second favorite or their favorite. I get it. There is a lot of funness to it. It is very fast-paced. It doesn't have a big slowdown kind of throughout the movie like most of the Scream movies do. And the kills in this one, I don't think they reinvent the wheel because there's a lot of stabbing. But they go for more of the up close. You know, we stab someone in the eye, someone directly in the mouth, someone through the nose. A lot of stomach stabs. They do a lot of the stab and then twist the knife to seem like they're doing a lot more damage. But there's a lot of plot armor for some of the main characters. We see a lot of people survive that shouldn't. We see some legacy characters kind of just look not as bright as they normally would. And that last act is really what killed it for me. This was a very good movie for me. And then we got to about the midway point, and people stop dying. Everybody kind of lives. The killer reveal is lackluster. And I really hated the fact that they marketed this movie like this is a killer that we've never seen before. We haven't seen one like this, which had me more excited about this because Scream 5 I wasn't really a big fan of. So since they were going to be going like in a whole new direction with it, I was like, I'm on board for a whole different type of killer. One who's more brutal, more gory, more inventive with his kills. And we got the same exact killer reveal as part 2. Except for this time, there's 3 killers and they're all related. And out of the 3 killers, Bailey is the most exciting one, I guess. But the other 2 are just forgettable characters. There's nothing to them in this movie. They almost don't even really exist for the most part. So it's like one you're told is going to be a killer the entire time, and then guess what? It happens. And the other one dies, but then doesn't. And I do feel like they did a kind of a bad job of making this Scooby-Doo type ending that Scream's known for, where you pick the killers out very early on. And it's just through dialogue and things that happen. And I feel like they missed the ball on the subtlety in that part. Number 2 for me is Scream 4. I know this one isn't exactly a fan favorite for some people, but for me, this is the second most enjoyable movie in the franchise. If I'm going to watch a sequel, this is the one I go for. This one has probably the best cast out of any of the movies since the original. I mean, you've got Emma Roberts playing Jill. Jill is a fantastic killer reveal. The cousin, the motives, all the shit she does to Sidney, the shit she does to herself to make it look good. The fact that she's working with somebody, but then when it comes down to it, offs that person just so she can have the fame and the glory behind it all. I like the motive in it. I like the callbacks to it being a remake, so there's things that are similar to the original, but they throw it off just a little bit, like a lot of the remakes do. And the kills, like a lot of people think 6 is probably the most brutal one. I would say that they're all very similar once you hit 4. 4, 5, and 6, the killers are more ferocious. They're much more intimidating than they were in the original ones, like just on a standpoint, besides part 1. And this one has probably one of the most bloodiest, goriest scenes in the entire series, with the kill with the friend across the street when she gets butchered in her room. And we go up to her room with Sidney, and you see the guts laying out on the bed. The whole room is just splattered in blood everywhere. And there was a lot of kills in this one where there was a little bit more blood involved than what we had previously seen in the Scream movies. So I feel like this is the one that kind of kicked off that much more ferocious and brutal killer. And this is the one we get Kirby in. Kirby's a great character since we lost Randy. She's probably the second best sub-character in the franchise, because I wouldn't count her like up to the level of Gale and Dewey and Sidney, but as that next level down, she's the best person we've had since Randy. And number 1, what else could it be? It's the original. Most franchises can't top what started them, because if you didn't have a good first movie, you sure as fuck wouldn't have a franchise. The killer reveals are so on the nose that you should know who it is even when you're watching it, so it's not like a I'm not sure, but they do plant all those little seeds to make you think, well, maybe it isn't that person, and they do it in a subtle job. The commentary on horror movies, all the tropes, all the jokes, all the humor behind it, it's all spot on. The cast for this one, I mean, Neve Campbell is a nobody. She becomes Sidney Prescott. Yeah, Skeet Ulrich is Billy Loomis. Matthew Lillard is Stu, which is like a fan favorite for someone they wish would come back and be a killer in one of these movies, because there's no confirmed death. But Tatum is one of the better side characters who's there to die, and her kill is comical as all hell. And overall, I mean, we get Henry Winkler dies in this movie, and it's the original. It's what started it. It's what created the Ghostface mask. It's what started the Drew Barrymore thing, where the big star of the movie that's on the poster gets just brutally murdered right off the bat. And this movie went for it. Like, when we talk about brutality of killers, that's a whole scene. Stabbing the shit out of her, guts her, hangs her from a tree so her parents see her when they walk out of the house. The blood and the gore is there. They went for it, and they nailed it. So, like I said, most of these movies are all good movies. They're all enjoyable. I don't think there's a single Scream movie that you can't find some fun with. But part one is the best. All right. So, use the comments down below. Let me know what your ranking is of the Scream franchise. What ones are your favorite? What ones did I get wrong in your eyes? Probably part 4. I know people don't like that as much as I do. But don't forget to give me a like, subscribe, share this with anybody that might want to see a Scream ranking as well. And until the next one, guys, rest in peace.